Hey, Stephen Young here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking, doing the junkyard crawl in Bernardston, Massachusetts, with a very interesting and short-lived truck. This is the International B Series, and these were made between 1959 and 1961. 59, 3 model years. And what makes these really bizarre is the fact that for the first time, International emulated 50s automotive styling. And these are the only International trucks with stacked headlights and a grille inspired by either the Nash Metropolitan or the 55 Chevy. Now, to get a full idea of how different this is the kind of truck that this replaced. Pretty stodgy stuff, you know, vertical radiator, little round cab, and, you know, bolt-on type fenders, whereas this is more of the envelope style of architecture. So again, even the front bumper on this thing has some style. It's formed with a V-shaped in it right here versus just being a flat bar. You can see right here, it's all banged up, but that right there is repeated on both sides, this sort of a V form. And something also important, 1959 was the first year for available V8 engines in International trucks, gasoline engines. Now there were two families, the big heavy duty ones, which were 401, 461, and even 549 cubic inches. But this is the lighter version of them. Take a peek in here. That is the 288, 304, 345, or 392 engine family. This is probably a 304, but it might even be a 288. Now, something kind of cool about these were also used in International Scouts, the Travelols, and these were, you know, pretty heavy engines, like 850 pounds, but they were used in light applications, half-ton trucks even. But something kind of cool, pull the valve cover off right here, and it's kind of cool. The valve cover has this sawtooth design on the bottom, sort of like an old Mopar Poly or almost like a 348 Chevy, you know, whatever. But with that said, that's done to conform to the arrangement of the valves. Look how these are actually kicked valves. The intake and exhaust valves are splayed on different angles, called a polyspherical design. Chrysler made big hay of that, but so did International. And again, to allow these things to fit under the valve cover without wasted space, the scalloped sawtooth edge was used. Now these look to be hydraulic. There's no adjusters on these things right here, so that's probably a hydraulic cam inside of this thing. There's the valve springs right there with rotators on the exhaust side. And now this one has a 2-barrel carburetor, a little Holley 2-barrel, I think, underneath the oil bath air cleaner. These could be had with a 4-barrel in later years, but this basic engine, again, 288, 304, 345, and even 392 cubic inches. But the heavy-duty International gas engine, which could be had with up to 549 inches, was truly larger and probably 30% heavier. But something else that's kind of interesting about the B170 in this case here is the fact that this is, you know, it's about a 4-ton truck, something like that. And International made their own axles, their front axles. And something interesting about them, if you know your International trucks, they always kind of look concave like this, whereas Ford axles and Dodges kind of are more proud. Well, the whole point of that was to get the dust cap out of harm's way by making it almost flush with the wheel. If this truck was out on a job site, rocks and branches and curbs would be less likely to smack the dust cap off of a more pronounced axle design. So that was kind of an International trademark, that concave looking front wheel. And you see that even on the big heavy duty trucks. Now, getting back to the cab on this thing, and by the way, back to that wheel, we can see right here, again, the big trucks even had that sort of concave look to the hub right there. It's sort of tucked in. And, you know, there it is on the big trucks, even these guys right here. Kind of weird, but again, International made their own front axles. Kind of unique. You know, most of the other manufacturers got them from Rockwell or Timken or whoever it might be. But getting back to the 1959 through 61 B Series trucks, 3 years of production, wraparound windshield, and really delicate A-pillars. Look at this A-pillar right here. I mean, basically, in a rollover, wouldn't be much there to keep you safe. By contrast, again, the earlier cab, this right here, smaller window, not as much wraparound, more stodgy looking design. Now this same cab was used on International pickup trucks, and also the Travelall had the same front grille design the first few years of the Travelall. Now if you look inside of this one, we'll also see the modernity continues inside. The instrument panel on this puppy is a very modern pod, almost like a motorboat or, you know, kind of an aircraft fighter kind of a design right here. This is a magnesium structure. It's a casting, but again, unlike most trucks with a flat face with dials in it, this was a pretty cool little compact piece right here, rectangular in theme. And the pedals on the floor are unique. The B Series 1959 introduced suspended pedals hanging down from underneath the dashboard. Previous trucks had pedals coming up through the floor. Problem with that was that they admitted moisture and dust, and the cab was not as weather tight and warm. Well, the International changed that, 1959 on the B Series, getting away from that trouble. Now, this truck here was originally owned or run recently by Bicknell and Fuller Corrugated Container Corporation, 35 Congress Street in Salem, Massachusetts. And again, being close to the ocean might account for the paper-thin metal, the rust, salt air. But again, International, you know, initially one of the big truck manufacturers, I think now known as Navistar. I'm not even sure if they're even in business. Now, of course, International Navistar does make diesel engines for Ford. The Power Stroke engines were done in collaboration with International. But here we have it right here, 3-year only. B Series with the 55 Chevy inspired egg crate type grille and stacked headlights, sort of like a 58 Lincoln. You know, again, trucks didn't have to be square or stodgy in the 50s. They also embraced the atomic age styling courtesy of trucks like this. So if you like what you see on this video, stick around, there's a lot more, and be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel.